Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about Legacies, episode 104, titled Hope is Not the Goal, which premiered Thursday, November 15, 2018 on the CW. I'm recording roughly an hour and 20 minutes after the episode is aired, so huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes, so let's start the clock, and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So first off, the episode quote, I should say, hope is not the goal, was said by Lark to both of his daughters in one of their final scenes together in the episode. They're pretty much, Lizzie was trying to get to the point of, she was trying to be a hero because Hope is always the hero, and she kind of wanted to take that place. And then Lark goes, hope is not the goal, and kind of explain how, why he always turns to Hope as opposed to turning to his daughters when secrets need to be revealed. So, anyways, timeline-wise, though, it is the day after the events of 103. It appears that Dana and Sasha, the two Mystic High students, were only missing for the one night, so it's the following morning after their disappearance, or at least I'm assuming so. Right? Because in a small town like that, parents would usually be alerted after a night away. Anyways, episode reminder, I'm going to say the spider monster, which is the featured creature of the episode, aka it is called the arachnid. And basically, we find out the basics behind this creature through MG when he goes off on the myth he learned about it in comic book lore, and then as well as tying it back to what the Greek myth had about the arachnid. Also, first time I encountered an arachnid was Supernatural, episode 613, all the way back in 2011. So far, Legacies and Supernatural, they're 2 for 3 of the same creatures. They had dragons on Supernatural in season 6. They now the arachnid from season 6 of Supernatural, but they did not do the gargoyle. So Legacies has the gargoyle as its own creature there. Seems to be taking a lot of stuff from season 6 though, apparently. But anyways, I'm getting too much into that. We could be here forever. But they definitely portrayed the arachnid very differently. I will say that. Yeah. I guess you could say this arachnid was more buggish when it was taking the form of its host, as opposed to the way they did on Supernatural. Yeah, anyways, episode breakdown. 2 different storylines, I guess you could say. Pretty much first one dealing with the missing Mystic High students, and then the second one dealing with werewolf pack rules. So with the first storyline, I won't get into it, but this one was pretty much trying to find Dana and Sasha, the 2 missing students. Ended up that Dana was dead due to getting bitten by the arachnid, which has a venomous bite that pretty much liquefies their victims. But they do find Sasha alive. She was just stuck in the whole cocoon webbing thing, and she wasn't bitten, so she was able to live through the whole sword affair. But again, tied in with the future creature of the arachnid, which everyone thought was a vampire case, but the bite of the arachnid was big enough to resemble a vampire. So that was a surprise twist there. Second storyline dealt back at the Salvatore boarding school with the pack rules, and that with Rafael trying to adjust being a student back at the school, he is now forced to submit to the student pack. And he meets the new Alpha Jed, or his new Alpha Jed, considering that not only did Rafael not grow up with the knowledge of werewolves, but he's a newly turned werewolf. He's only just realizing this over the last 3 days. So learning that he has to submit to this stranger, he struggles with what that could mean and stuff. And Josie's kind of with him, trying to help him figure it out. So anyways, last scene of the episode shows a swamp-like creature thingy breaking into Dorian's hideout, where he's trying to keep a low profile with the dagger that every creature is trying to hunt down. So there's that. Character-wise, though, we have MG starting off the episode by having a nightmare with Gorilla Grodd attacking him after reading a comic book of The Flash. And let me just say, as a fan of The Flash, that was a huge surprise when they show a massive gorilla grodd trying to attack a very small MG, and then to find it was a nightmare. It's just like, whoa. It was like, it kind of had me thinking in a moment, like, wait, are we crossing over with the Flash or something? Or is the gorilla going to be the featured creature of some kind? But it was fun having that little tie-in there. At least now we've established that comic book heroes are strictly in comics, so no Arrowverse crossovers here. Although I could probably find a way to make it work. But yeah, anyways. Okay, moving on to Caleb, though. We see him questioning the rules set for the vampire students at the boarding school, to the point that like he's questioning like the blood supply. He's like trying to go out and do his own human feeds and stuff, to the point that he is vervained and contained on suspicions of him conducting human feeds, which I guess he's not supposed to. So there's that. Also, we do meet Jed. I did mention he's the werewolf alpha. That's pretty much all that there is. He definitely has a bit of controlling side to him, I think. But yeah, there's that. Also in this episode, we see Lizzie siphoning magic from MG, a vampire. We see her do it a few times. We also see her commenting on MJ's compliments towards her, as well as brushing them off. Like, it was a little surprising how forward, I guess, he made those comments, like to the point like those comments were obvious that he has a crush on her, but yet she just didn't react to them at all. She just pretty much pushed them under the rug. So there's that. Now with Josie, though, we see her siphoning and confirming that you can siphon from a werewolf, and she does that with Rafael. And she also siphons from the school itself. She takes it for the school walls because she explained that there's magic actually infused into the boarding, into the walls of the boarding school and like the property and stuff. So that was pretty cool there. But to see them both actually siphon and get a little bit of an idea there, that was explained. Also, we do see Dorian again. He's shown in the cabin in the very last scene. And so far, he's been in every episode, which I'm very pleased with, because I thought he was just going to have special appearances and not be a stable part or a consistent part of the staff of the school. So I'm glad that that isn't the case. So there's that. Hopefully, he's actually back at the school in the next episode. But moving on to tidbits, though, very quickly, we do have the suspicion brought up that there is animal blood bags in the school fridge. We do see MJ going for like a midnight snack, but his reaction to the claims or the implications of it being animal blood seem to have completely thrown him. But it's like he doesn't know any differently, while Caleb is like kind of like, no, I'm not going to have this option. So he's kind of going against the school's rules there. Also, the Gemini Covenant is mentioned, and through Josie's description to Rafael about where she descends from. And as you know, the Gemini Covenant ended in the season 6 finale of the Vampire Diaries when the Coven leader Kai killed himself, therefore killing everybody else in the Gemini Coven. The only reason that the twins survived is because the last spell that the Coven performed was to protect the twins that were still in the womb of their mother, and because their mother was going to be killed off due to Kai's actions, they transferred the twins into the strongest womb in the room, and that happened to be Caroline, a vampire's womb. So that's kind of how the twins are still alive. But anyways, I'm getting off tracks. But the way that Josie explains it, she explains it that because the Coven is dead, this has forced her and her sister to be siphon witches, therefore getting their magic elsewhere as opposed to getting it from the Coven itself, which would be the case if the Gemini Coven was alive. I don't know if this is actually true or not, and they changed the reasoning, because essentially the twins were born after the death of their entire coven. So it could be true that the reason they are siphons is because they don't have any magical family magic to draw from or to connect with, and maybe that's why they're siphons. But we do know that siphons exist outside of a coven. I mean, their uncle Kai was a siphon. There's also 6 other examples of siphon witches who ended up turning into vampires to become heretics, but they were still siphoners that belonged to a coven. They just happened to get kicked out of a coven because they were siphons. They were an anomaly to being a witch. So I don't know if actually the death of the coven is the true reason why the twins were siphons, or if I thought it was just because they were related to Kai, who is a known siphon, and that's like it's a hereditary type thing. So I don't know, but they did mention it in that degree, which was great. It's just the way that Josie explained it has me questioning, are they actually siphons because their original coven is dead, or is it because like they have a relative that was a siphon, and that's kind of why they are as well. So it's just like a different form of a witch. But yeah. Anyways, moving on to another tidbit is the fact that Landon is shown to be wearing clothes from 1993 that the school provided for him. I'm guessing that this is probably part of Damon or Stefan's clothing collection that they've gathered over the years. I mean, I'm very tempted to go back to the Vampire Diaries episode that had the 1994 flashbacks just to see if Damon is actually wearing the jacket that Landon was wearing in this episode. I believe that's supposed to be episode 604 of the Vampire Diaries. I'm just tempted to go back and check to see, yep, that's Damon's jacket that Landon is wearing. So that's a little something there. Maybe someone out there has already done it, but I'll have to go check. Also, another tip is the fact that one of the cheerleaders at the Mystic Falls High School could not be compelled. So it's possible that the school could be supplying Ravane, or it's more incorporated in the food water supply in town. I'm assuming she wasn't compelled just by the snappy comeback she had towards MJ when he tried to compel her. Usually when the compulsion works, they kind of take on like this monotone, dead-eyed look, which she did not give when he tried to compel her. So there's that. Also, another thing is the fact that Lizzie made a Hunger Games reference by saying, "I volunteer as tribute," when Lark asked for volunteers to go investigate the high school. So there's that. And moving on to most shocking moment of the episode, I definitely took a lot longer than I thought I would. But most shocking was the fact that when we got to see the arachnid in the form of Connor, that was Landon's old school bully, like when he's still in his host's form and then also coming out of it as well, that was just so disgusting and like ugh. It's like I always have an issue with transformations like that, just to see how they're able to mix the unnatural with the human. It's just like ugh. It's like amazing, like special effects and like makeup work and all that too, but it still grosses me out in the moment. It's just like ugh. But anyways, that was the shocking moment there, just how far it went into bug territory. So there's that. But moving on to most shocking moment of the or not most shocking. I just did that. Fudge. Okay, moving on to top 3 favorite moments. I'm sorry. It's 11:30 at night right now. I'm tired. So first favorite was the fact that Hope was a badass in this episode. Once again, she knows a spell that can kill the creature. She's 3 for 3 right now. So it's just fantastic to see her put her magic to good use in this sense. But it also explains in this episode why it's always Hope, is because that the students at the school are only learning defensive spells, and this is something that Josie brings out and she wants to change. She actually brings it up to her father, saying like they have to know how to protect themselves, they have to know offensive spells so that they don't always have to rely on Hope in those situations, because as you know, Hope has always learned from her Aunt Freya before she attended the school, and then she just continued her studies with her after attending school as well. So it was just awesome to see Hope being a badass once again, and having the twins siphon off of her, as well as drawing magic from them to amp up her power when they're doing that destructive spell against the arachnid, which just blew up in a pile of goo. But also in that moment when the 3 girls were walking out all covered in goo, also notice that the 3 guys that are like opposite them are pretty much the potential love interest of those 3 girls. You had Landon, you had Rafael, and you had MG standing in front of Josie, Lizzie, and Hope. So it's like foreshadow right there. Who goes with who? I mean, there's some I'm rooting for, but who knows what twists and turns in relationships, right? But anyways, moving on. Another favorite I have to say is Hope and Lark. I mean, I love this dynamic for sure. I love that we got to see more training. He's teaching her in different things. He's teaching her with the use of like staffs or bamboo sticks or whatever, and learning coordination that way. I like the references to the fact that Lark always, like, even when they were training, they were talking about things that only though the two of them could be talking about, like their suspicion of Landon, or like how they need to like find out information, the creatures, there's a timer and stuff, like just the confiding in one another of like what's going to happen next or what should be happening next, or bringing up what has happened and only the two of them have known about, like Hope's use of dark magic against the dragon and such. So I really like that. Also, I liked was the fact that when Lark was on the phone with Lizzie and MJ, he's always bringing up Hope. I'm wondering like, well, where is Hope? Call me back when you find Hope, and like, and stuff like that. And it was just like, I don't know if it's because like she's old. I'm assuming Hope's older than MG. I'm assuming she's older than Caleb. I'm assuming she's roughly the same age as Landon because of the history between them. But she's definitely older than the twins. So I'm wondering if Lark's just going to her as like automatically because she's the older one, or if it's because she definitely has more experience because of the history she has as a Michelson. But I like the fact that he was always bringing her up in conversation when she wasn't there, going like, well, where is she? Is like, don't call me back unless you like, call me when you get back together with Hope, type of thing. And also Landon made the comment to Hope about the fact that you're his favorite when they were trying to pin off who was going to tell Lark or who's going to lie to Lark about their situation, and he gives Hope the phone and say, well, you do it, you're his favorite, and then she passes off to Lizzie saying, well, you want to be the hero. So I love the relationship. It definitely shouldn't be happening because he shouldn't be favoring someone else over his girls, but it's like, like I said in my previous episode, I view Hope as Lark's third daughter, essentially. Pretty much. Anyways, moving on though, another favorite I did have was the fact that we got to see Sheriff Matt Donovan again, and the fact that he had a lot more screen time than he did in episode 101. He's definitely more involved. He's definitely playing off more with Lark. So that was pretty cool. I'm glad to see that there's just some aspects of Matt that just have not changed. He's definitely pro-human. He doesn't like any supernatural creature messing with his town. But he's definitely standing up for it, which is going to put him at odds with a Lark in the future. So there's that. Another favorite I had was Hope being told off by Landon for her treatment of him, when all he wanted to do for the day was spend time with her. I thought that was so sweet, and he wanted to spend it with her and try to make things up with her, and then she was just shutting him out, and I get why she's shutting him out. But I like the fact that he called her on it and just told her, like, that's not okay. It's like, it's showing, I like that it's showing it from this perspective, because sometimes in stories we always get the fact that the guy is always the one in the wrong, and we always see the girl getting the backlash, or always the one that suffers, and then the guy just gets away with it, or the guy's never told by the girl herself what he's doing wrong. It's always some third party. But I love that this time it was in the reverse. The girl did something wrong and the guy is the one that's kind of taking the brunt of it, but he actually tells her that, no, this is not okay. So I really appreciate that. And then another favorite I liked was the fact that we got to see more of Josie with Rafael. We got to see them bonding. We got to see them helping each other out. And she also kissed him. She kissed him twice. Sure, it was under the guise that she did it so that she could siphon his magic or from his werewolfness. But still, she kissed him twice. And he did not pull away and he did not refuse. He said, like, when she apologized, he said, like, don't worry about it. It was like, yeah, like, he was fine with this. Like, yes. I'm definitely feeling them more than Rafael and Lizzie, but yeah, I really like Josie and Rafael. I'm glad they got to talk. I'm glad they got to connect and stuff like that. But anyways, moving on to top 3 peeve moments. One big peeve I did have in this episode was Lizzie's constant references to being a hero. No offense, but no hero brings that up. It's like, no hero brings up the fact that, like, oh, I'm doing this because this is what heroes do. It's like, no. Heroes don't do stuff just because it's what heroes do. Usually heroes do stuff because it's the right thing to do. Or or no one else is going to do it, so they're going to stand in place to do it. They don't say like, oh, I'm only going to do this because this is what heroes do. No, and she kept on saying that. She kept on referencing, well, that's what heroes do, or it's time to be a hero. It's like, no, stop exaggerating or overusing the term. Like, I get it mixed with the theme of the heroes and the villains of the stories of what the whole part of Legacies is about, but I just felt like this was like overuse of the word hero. And it's like also showing like trying too hard at the fact she's trying to be a hero. And it's like, no, you don't do something because you try to be a hero. You do something because it's the right thing to do. And so, yeah, so that was a peeve of mine. I'm glad she kind of got like told off about it by a Lark, saying like, instead of trying to be a hero, be safe and like secure your own self. Because also, if you're not able to keep yourself safe, then you're not able to help anybody else in general afterwards, right? If you put yourself in harm's way, then you can't help anybody after that. So there's that. But another peeve I did have was the fact that how often Lizzie puts down MJ or MG. I keep calling him MJ like FUD. Milton. If I'm gonna keep calling him MJ, I might as well just call him Milton. But it was just such a letdown how often she does it. She criticizes him a lot. She always calls him names. She always puts down his interests, and it's just like, no. Not only does this guy have a crush on you, but not only are you friend zoning him, but it's like you treat him as if he's not your friend, as if like you're using him. And it was so sad to see, and it wasn't fair to MJ. He's such a good guy, and it's just like, I felt bad for the guy. It just doesn't really put Lizzie in my good graces right now. So there's that. But moving on to what we'll remember most when I look back on this episode, I will have to say the whole spider monsters thing with the arachnid, and then also the fact that Josie got to kiss Rafael. I'm going to ignore the fact it was because she was trying to cipher him from him that way, but she still got to kiss him twice before her sister did. So I hope that's her putting her own claim, more of a claim than Lizzie's dibs. But anyways, moving on to random questions very quickly. First one is, because the arachnid took the form of Connor, does that mean that Connor is dead? They didn't really touch up on that, but they did when MG was kind of explaining what an arachnid was. He kind of gave the impression that the arachnid has to take the form of a host that they feed off of. But then, what does that mean for Connor? So there's that. Another question is, has it escaped, when Lizzie's trying to compare herself or trying to outdo Hope, I'm wondering, has it escaped her mind that she is not actually the same age as Hope? I mean, she is 2 years younger than Hope, so it's understandable that Hope's going to know a lot more than Lizzie is, and that could also be another reason why a Lark tends to go and confide and trust in Hope more, and to trust that she can handle herself than his own daughter, since they're not really yet. Because remember, the twins are only 15. Hope's 17, so that's a little bit more to deal with, and Hope has dealt with a lot more darker things with her time on the original, so that's a question there. Also, another question, too, that just came to mind, though, was that we met Alpha Jed in this episode, but now I'm wondering, why isn't Hope the Alpha? I mean, not only is she a werewolf, but she's a tribrid. She can change into a werewolf at will. She can transform at will. So I'm wondering why she isn't the alpha at the school. Is it because she is a tribrid and not all werewolf, and that's why she doesn't qualify as an alpha? But then again, her mom, who was a hybrid, a vampire and a werewolf hybrid, she was the alpha to the Crescent Pack during her days. So I'm wondering why Hope is not the alpha, or maybe she refused to be the alpha or something. I don't know. I thought she might be a better fit. She definitely could unite the species together, but there's that. But that was the last question. But moving on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 105, the episode doesn't return until November 29th. So it's skipping a week due to the American Thanksgiving that's happening the 22nd. So there's that. But the promo did show the focus trying to be on uncovering Landon's past and figuring out if he does have a supernatural connection or not, and why he's connected to the dagger. but based off the synopsis for 105, it reads that tensions rise among the students after Lark decides to give the students a bigger voice by forming an honor council. Determined to find out more about Landon's past, Hope does a series of magical tests on him. Meanwhile, Lark and Dorian take on the next creature to try and find out what they want and where they are coming from. I'm wondering if that creature is meant to be that swamp boggy thing that broke into Landon's hideaway cabin. But I like that the promo or the synopsis doesn't give me much on what the creature could be. So I do appreciate that. So with that all said, I don't think I'm gonna. Yeah, that's pretty much all the predictions I can give, though. So I'll leave it at that. But what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is gonna happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and predictions about all that. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all fun in one place. Go check that out. I am behind for some aspects, but I'm caught up on others, so please do keep that in mind. Also, a WordPress account link for that is down below. Everything I post online is connected to that. More organized over there, more detailed, but I'm still updating it. But check that out if you like. Also, for Legacies, I'm not doing my live journal entry accounts, but if you want to check out the Vampire Diaries and the originals that I've done for those, the link for that would be down below. It's just a recap of the episode specifically in order with in-moment thoughts and stuff. It helps me keep things aligned. It's also a good refresher, so if you want to check that out, go for it. Otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back in 2 weeks to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, this is Mel. Wish you a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.